Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you and peace to the rest of you. This is Black Heart signing Black in again. Where I grew up, in all honesty, was in the southeast. And there's some more conservatism and some of the old conservative ways of black folks still to be found there. And in the northeast, I'm not really sure how much of that is left. I don't really know. Well, let me tell you what I've come to understand. And of course, the Northeast probably very vastly differs from one city to the next, and that makes sense. But let me go ahead and explain to you that when I was coming up, there were I remember some ladies that were a few years older than me and my colleagues. And they weren't always looking for thugs and bad dudes. And they might have had an appeal to them at a young age, but these guys didn't have a staying power with them that an honest guy would have. And it certainly was not going to be the case going into their 20s and into these women's professional lives. It wasn't like that. For some odd reason, and I don't know what it is, I am seeing that when you get out of the rural Southeast and you get into the urban Southeast or the urban Northeast, it doesn't seem to change with years and maturity. And it seems to be a much longer standing problem. What I mean is this: I wouldn't meet somebody in her 50s that still had a thing for bad dudes in her 40s back in the Southeast most of the time. But yesterday was my first time using a rideshare app in the United States, and a specific one, I mean. I have used Uber before, but this was my first time yesterday using a specific other rideshare app. I thought that the name tag was supposedly her name because it was a vanity plate. In all honesty, as I thought so, in all honesty, I realized that the name tag, that the car's license plate was not the name, it was the license plate. So anyway, I got into the car. Oh, and she was a nice looking sister. Turns out she's in her early 50s. I didn't know that. I would have thought she was maybe 38 or 39. And that's real. You know, the old me before I became Muslim would have asked how she was doing, traded numbers, and would have, given a bunch of cream pies, as many as she wanted. Um, Old me she would have had to wear a bunch of towels to work underneath her clothing. But she she's in her early 50s now, and it's not the ages that bother me, in all honesty. And truth be told, I'm one of the rare guys that genuinely likes women my age and older. Genuinely. That's one of the reasons why I like uh, medium and darker skinned women in many cases, because they age more slowly. But she told me about her son and her son's father, and how he was the example for her son that she did not want. And I thought about it and realized she's in her 50s. She was 39 or 40, 39 or 40 when she had a son, I'm guessing. So this meant she was close to my age now when she got with this guy and then got pregnant by him. At that age, see, sisters say that they read people and that they can look at you and tell stuff, like they got this deeper spiritual power from psychic connection. A lot of sisters want to do that. And I thought, well, if sisters like doing this sort of thing, then why do they get these guys? And it dawned on me. They're not getting these guys because they don't have that power and because it doesn't work. Yeah, they don't have it and it doesn't work. but they're getting with these guys because these guys are that way. And this is because in the end, sisters get to have or claim some sort of spiritual authority, a moral superiority. This is why many sisters at a subconscious level are preferring these kind of guys. Sisters don't just want to feel superior to black men in many ways. They want to feel morally superior to them. And the way you do that is that you get a guy that you get the ones to whom you are morally superior. And that's why sisters traditionally pick guys that are morally worse off than them. They have less of a sense of decency and responsibility. It gives her the moral advantage. She's the moral superior of her man. And she doesn't realize why she's doing it. I'll be the first to say that a lot of what we do is out of trauma. I just think we need to get counseling for it. Sisters, if you pick men that are the moral inferior of yourself because they are morally inferior, you then put yourself on their levels. There are a lot of things we could say to brothers too, but I get to say these things to them in person. But this, sisters, I want you to understand and realize that subconsciously you're picking guys that are morally inferior to you because they're morally inferior, and this takes away your moral superiority in the first place. Look for guys that have a sense of decency and responsibility. As a matter of fact, a lot of you choose this because you're socialized to, and your friends reinforce that. If your friends are the type to reinforce that, then what you need to do is make sure that you start using your friends' standards and preferences as an example of what not to do. Girl, that guy's too goody two shoes for you. I remember being in MARTA. I was in Atlanta in the middle 90s, and I remember being on MARTA on the train. And these two sisters were talking, and they were in their 30s, I'm sure. And when a MARTA police officer walked through the train or the cabin in which we were, going to another car, she waited till he passed by, and she said to the lady she was talking to, "Girl, my man can't be a cop because that's a little too goody two shoes for me. I need him to have something gangster about him." And this is in her 30s, middle 30s. She was on MARTA. She should be glad if a man with a car takes an interest in her. And she was talking this stuff. Oftentimes cops do, and really, when you examine it, cops tend to do better financially than gangsters and drug dealers. Because drugs don't really make a whole lot of money for you. I mean, it's a business, but they don't make you wealthy. So there may have been a time when that was the case, but right now they don't really make a lot of people wealthy. They make a few wealthy. Everybody else is hustling, trying to scrape a living. Being a police officer pays you more and more steadily. And she was sitting up here saying that she couldn't have a man that was a cop because it was too goody two shoes. She needed a man with some kind of gangster, something rough about him. Now she'd have to be 53 at the youngest. At the youngest. She might be 56 or 57. I hope she grew up. But the lady that drove my daughters and me to the zoo yesterday, she was in her early 50s. May God help her. And I say that because she was not a stereotypical ratchet. She was not a stereotypical hood rat. She probably had a college degree, in all honesty. She was well spoken. She was well groomed. I think she had her natural hair. If I didn't know that she liked these kind of guys and I wasn't Muslim, she would have had a shot with me. Knowing her age, she would have had a shot with me. But come on, seriously. She is that type, and she wants a guy that is a bad example for her son. Now she's complaining about him. The only reason that could have possibly been was that she wanted something to feel superior to him about at all times. Sisters, if this is what's going on, understand that you have lowered your own you've given up, you've forfeited your moral superiority over such guys. A lot of you don't realize you're doing it. I'm not saying this with hatred. I just want you to realize you're doing it and stop. I hope this has been a benefit. Assalamu alaikum.